Okay, let's talk about the vowels. And there are different opinions of how many vowel phonemes in standard Chinese. Most scholars believe that there are 6, and some scholars do not agree. And at least I think most of us accept such vowels, including R, O, E, I, U. Okay, R, O, E, I, U. In this page, you can observe them, the position of a tongue, how to pronounce them. R is here. Okay, R. We mentioned that there are different R in Chinese language, but they, in most cases, they can be regarded as the same phoneme, right? So R and O is here, O, R, O, is here. O and are a pair. The only difference between them is whether round your lips or not. Okay, R, O, and E is here, U and U. R, O, E, U. Okay, E and U are a pair. O and are a pair. Okay, so the system of Chinese vowel is pretty simple, comparing with, for example, English. I think most of us are familiar with the vowel system of English, right? So it's only 6, only 6 vowels. But the practical appearance of those phonemes are not limited with the 6. There are many more. Okay, we call them allophone. So what's the meaning of allophone here? Allophone refers to the different practical pronunciation of a same phoneme, or a sound that is slightly different from another sound, although both sounds belong to the same phoneme, and different does not affect the meaning. As I mentioned, do not change the meaning, okay, but actually in practical they are different, slightly. In such cases, we call them allophone. That means allophone is a group of phones. As a group of phones belong to the same phoneme. And allophone usually complementarily distributed. Here are some examples, group of examples of allophones. Okay? As I mentioned, there is a debate on this topic, okay? Whether or can be regarded as the same phoneme. I do not think so, but some scholars believe that. Or here, because they are complementarily distributed. Here shows the environment when each phone appears. Each member of the allophones appear. Okay, for example, or appears only in open syllables, and after lateral, after the okay, mo. But as I mentioned, there's a m, right? There's a m different from mo. Okay, we cannot ignore them in this case. And using as ye. Okay, ye and li. Okay, so open syllable after palatal. In this case, we can analyze that 我波叶列歌色飞给狗门梦. Okay, at least 5 allophones here, according to some scholars, can be regarded as the variation of the same phoneme, or. Okay. Similarly, you can observe the different allophones of the more phoneme ah. Okay, there are different ahs. R, front R and back R, okay, and also A, and also R, central R, okay, and this is also central R, the lower central R, open central R, right? They appear in different situations, different environment in a syllable, and they do not distinguish meaning. So the syllable 八鸭桃糖开山盐片圆选, okay, the R in all of them can be regarded as a same phoneme, can be regarded as a group of allophones. Okay, still remember we mentioned the retroflex as a manner of pronunciation, of articulation for consonant last time, right? Similarly, we still have a retroflex vowel in Chinese language, which means in order to pronounce that syllable or that sound, you need to roll your tongue. You need to turn your tongue up. Okay? So examples includes two groups here. First one is a particular syllable, one or two particular syllables that used as a word, including and R. And R. I'm trying to pronounce the standard Chinese properly. Okay? San, ear, and two. Okay? Notice there the syllables of and R are not the same. Okay, the position of the beginning of the syllable of and R, you can regard them as a start from Okay, start from here, and then you roll your tongue up. Okay, But what about R? Number two, R. If you want to pronounce R properly, you need to open your mouth at the beginning bigger. Okay, that means R must start from something lower here. Okay, it's not from here. If you start the syllable R from here, the result is a Okay, is not R, but in standard Chinese you must pronounce it as R. So it probably is this one, or even that one. R. Okay, R. So and R, they use different main vowel, but the same feature of them is you need to roll your tongue following the start of the main vowel. And similar pronunciations also happened as a suffix, okay, with a particular meaning. Something small, some tiny things, lovely things. If you want to express this idea, especially in Beijing dialect, sometimes you use the retroflex vowel er okay? Compare these two examples, okay? If you pronounce as unsuffixed gan dried food, for example, 饼干, also 饼干, and this way. But if you pronounce the suffix way, 干肉干面包干, okay, you need to roll your tongue. 干 okay. Try to experience and feel the difference between them. As I mentioned, this is a very important main character of Beijing dialect, major feature of Beijing dialect. Because the pronunciation system of standard Chinese is based on Beijing dialect. Okay, so similarly, we have some of the suffix retroflex vowel used in standard Chinese also, but not as many as a Beijing dialect. Okay, but unfortunately, many Chinese dialects do not use it much, and some, for example, the Wu dialect or Yue Cantonese dialect, don't use it at all. This is a very serious problem for the speaker of those mother tongues of southern dialects to learn or to study or to acquire standard Chinese. The general idea of the retroflex vowel is the merge with a syllable is attached to. So you need to pronounce them not as two syllable, but one syllable. They merged into one syllable. Okay, this is I think it's a common mistake that always done by some southern Chinese dialect speakers whose mother tongue has no retroflex vowel at all. For example, you cannot pronounce as a hua okay, but hua, pan is not correct, but par. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about diphthongs. What is diphthongs? Diphthong is a combination of two vowels. Okay, we need to exclude the situation of glides. Okay, for example, jia, jia, jia. In the syllable of jia, okay, e here in the middle used as a glide. To link the g, okay, the consonant g, and the core vowel a, e here used as a glide. We're not talking about this situation, okay? Exclude the situation of glide in front, yu. But we're talking about, besides that, the other parts contain two vowels. This situation contains two cases. Either the syllable or the combination, the diphthong, end with e or with u. Examples are shown as here. For example, if the core vowel is the mid vowel, and if this diphthong end with e, it is a. Okay, if the end with the u, it is o. A, o, I, ao, a, o. Okay, and they are diphthongs. You can look at this chart to identify which vowel, which phone I'm talking about here. There are combinations. That means you need to change from one vowel to another during the process of your pronunciation. Okay, here I'm going to introduce an opinion which says the sounds or phonemes in Chinese standard include such situations. Traditionally, we do not consider the glides. Okay, traditionally we consider the glides as a part of the final. For example, yes, in this way, okay, the final including the glides or medial and main vowel and the coda, right? Yun, in Chinese, yun, right? This is the traditional idea. And yun is a parallel with the initial, the consonants in front, and the tone. There are three parts. There are three parts of a syllable, right? This is the traditional way, but some scholars believe that you need to consider the glides as individual phoneme. And also the CD combinations, the consonant glide combinations also make sense, right? So in order to consider the situation of how to compose a Chinese syllable, some scholars believe that you need to consider all such situations. Glides, how many glides? 3. And how many consonants? and how many CG combinations, and how many syllable consonants, and how many vowels altogether compose the different situations of Chinese phonemes. Anyway, Chinese syllables is not very complicated and pretty simple if you compare it with English. So that means standard Chinese has small syllable inventory. Comparing with English, it's about 1,300 syllables, including tongues. If you distinguish 平响居住 or 阴平阳平响去声, okay, many, and about 500 syllables exclude tongues. And a full standard Chinese syllable can consist of up to 4 underlying sounds. You can use the template here, the CGVX. CGV means consonant, glide, vowel, and X here means either a consonant or a vowel used as a coda, right? So this is the basic structure. So the structure of a syllable of Chinese language is pretty simple, and also the boundaries are also similarly clear. So in Chinese, the syllable boundaries are mostly clear regardless of a dialect. That means whatever dialect you speak, the speaker can easily identify where is the beginning and where is the end of the syllable. Okay, this is a very obvious feature of Chinese language, which is different from some other languages. In Chinese, we call that 字正腔圆. Okay, it's clear boundary between each other. And the majority of Chinese words are monosyllabic. That means most of the Chinese words has only one syllable. One syllable, one word, written in one character means a name and a meaning. Okay? Very clear structure of the language, of oral language and written language appearance. Here are some examples. You can read it 蚂蚁 here. Okay, 蚂蚁. There are 2 syllables here in the word 蚂蚁. Similarly in 玛瑙, 曼谷. Okay, there are 2 syllables clearly pronounced, right? You are not able to say 蚂蚁 as a my. Okay, you link them together. Okay, no, it is not the correct way. You need to pronounce it as 蚂蚁. Okay, clear boundary, with clear boundary between 2 syllables. Okay, let's talk about the zero onset. What is onset? Onset, as I mentioned, sometimes include initial, the consonant in front, and also the medial, or the glide. Okay, so if there's no onset, what would be the result? There's no onset. Typically, the Chinese speaker, okay, will add an extra onset of them, okay, because it's a natural way to pronounce. I think probably it's a psychological or physical reasons of them. So that means when the syllable begins with a non-high vowel, exclude the situation of the glides. Okay, so one onset of some sort is often added. Here are some examples. I'll show you here. Okay, if you pronounce the syllable okay, it is very strange if you only pronounce sorry, I'll show you on this page. Yeah, okay. The core, the main vowel of is here, is this one. Okay, You are not easily able to speak out, pronounce this phone directly, because you are not ready to start. Okay, and then typically some speakers to make a stress of the glot, to pronounce as a glot, like you are ready to cough. you're getting ready to cough, okay? Stress here, and then pronounce or you can add a approximant here, a consonant version of All right, practice here. I'll show you here on this page. You practice, sometimes you practice this. You pronounce this one. You pronounce this one. Okay. That means there are slight friction before the pronunciation of the vowel here. Okay, I'm talking about the natural way, or even a nasal vela, okay. In fact, in some dialects, the proper way to pronounce such words is or okay. Yeah, so it is also the traditional old pronunciation. I mean, it is the standard Chinese 普通话 that reduce such initial in the process of historical evolution. And similar things happen of an, ngan. They are all acceptable ways to pronounce. Okay, now I'm going to talk about a pronunciation change in daily speech. In casual speech, actually, some sounds can be deleted or changed and create new syllable types that do not occur in careful speech. Here's the example. Some speakers pronounce woman as wom. Okay, there are also some similar situations of weak syllables. We know most Chinese words are stressed syllables, also called regular or full syllables. Here are some examples of weak syllables words. In most cases, they are dissyllable words. The second syllable need to be weakened. For example, 爸爸、妈妈、爷爷、奶奶、骆驼、狐狸、刺猬、狮子、衣服、裤子、袜子、帽子。Okay, in a dissyllable words, the last syllable sometimes need to be weakened to form a weak syllable. Okay, another very interesting matter is a homophone. We know that there are more than 6,000 different commonly used Chinese characters. We usually study them in primary school and secondary school, right? And most of which represent monosyllabic words. But there are many homophones among them. In average, each standard Chinese syllable represents 15 words, excluding tones, or 5 words, including tones. Within the 6,000 different commonly used Chinese characters, here shows the top 15 most frequent syllables in terms of a homophone dynasty. That means 106 syllables or words or characters pronounced the same as E. If you look up a big dictionary, you may find even more. On this page, it shows several hundred characters pronounced exactly the same, including the tone, which is the E. I mean, they all pronounce as E. They're called homophones. It is also very unique feature of Chinese language. Okay, lastly, we're going to talk about the tones in standard Chinese. Still remember the left page, the left illustration that we discussed last time? It tells us how to show the tones classification of a language. So what is tone? Tone is the pitch that used to distinguish words. If a language do not use pitch to distinguish words, it is not tonal language. But Chinese language, standard Chinese language, is typical tonal language. And all full syllables, there are 4 tones in standard Chinese. We are all familiar with that. Ma, 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 shown as examples. And here also shows the different ways to represent the difference of the 4 tones. Ma 1, ma 2, ma 3, ma 4. Or you can use the value of the pitch, ma 5, 5, ma 3, 5, 2, 1, 4, 5, 1, and others. So the tones of standard Chinese do not remain the same all the time. Sometimes they pronounce differently. We can call that sandhi. Sandhi is the modification of the form or sound of a word under the influence of an adjacent word, usually the following syllable. Okay, for example, here I'm going to talk about the tone 3, the third tone, sandhi. Tone 3 sometimes became tone 2 when it preceded another tone 3. Look at example. The original way to buy a horse, 买马, 买马, both of the syllables are tone 3, 买马. Okay, but in reality, in real pronunciation, if they link together, the result would be you pronounce them as almost as the same way as 买马, to bury a horse. 买马. 买马 become 买马, 买马. Okay? So this is a sandhi of tone 3. And similarly, some particular words also have sandhi. For example, ʻi and bu. The original pronunciation of ʻi is tone 1, ʻi. And in example, as ʻi used independently or used as the final of a disyllable words. 加一, 加一. This is an unchanged form. 加一. Okay? If ʻi appears before tone 4, it changes into tone 2. 一个, 一个. Okay, 加一 you are not supposed to pronounce it as 一个. No, 一个. 一 becomes 一. And if it becomes before tone 1, 2, and 3, 一 here change to tone 4. 一天, 一年, 一晚. So 加一, 一个, 一天, 一年, 一晚. Except the situation when 一 used as a final syllable of a dissyllable words. If it appears before other syllable, it will change its tone into other categories. Okay, similarly, bu also changed. Again, bu do not change if it is used as a final syllable in a disyllable words. 就不, 就不, bu is the original pronunciation, but original tone, 就不. But if it appears before the tone 4, it will change into tone 2. 不要. Not 不要, but 不要. Before other categories of tones, it remains unchanged. 不加, 不来, 不买. Remember, 不要. Okay, it is too much talking about the phonology of standard Chinese. Finally, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you still remember what are the 3 criteria to define a standard Chinese language? 普通话. You can check it out in the earlier part of this chapter. And I'm going to meet you next time. Thank you.